Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're getting ready for computer science exams, or, you're just curious about how your machine really works, you've come to the right place. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the computer's internal traffic control system. These are the advanced bus concepts that keep everything moving, and honestly, they're super important to understand.
So, to kick things off, let me ask you a quick question. Just picture the last time you were completely stuck in traffic. You've got cars, trucks, ambulances, all of them just inching along, trying to get somewhere. Now, what does a massive highway traffic jam have to do with your computer? Well, it turns out pretty much everything. That feeling of complete and utter gridlock, that's exactly what your computer is working tirelessly to prevent every single millisecond of every day. See, deep inside your computer, there's a shared information highway, and we call it a bus. And here's the problem. You've got all these different parts of your computer that need to use that same highway, often at the exact same time. And that right there is the recipe for a digital traffic jam. So, who are the drivers on this digital highway? Well, first you've got the CPU. Think of it like a souped-up sports car. It needs to get data, and it needs it fast. Then there's the memory, which is kind of like a huge transport truck, just carrying massive amounts of information. And finally, you have your I/O devices. Your keyboard, your mouse, your hard drive. They're all like little delivery vans, and they all need to share the exact same road. And can you imagine the chaos without a system to manage all of this? It would be nuts. Every single device would be shouting, "The bus is mine," and the entire system would just grind to a halt. This is where our hero of the story comes in. To prevent this total gridlock, computers use a system that acts just like a traffic cop. This amazing system is called Bus Arbitration, and its whole job, its entire reason for being, is to direct the flow of all that digital traffic efficiently and, hopefully, fairly. So what does that actually mean? Well, bus arbitration is simply the process of deciding which device gets to use the bus and for how long. So when a bunch of devices all raise their hand at the same time, the arbitrator points and says, "Okay, you can go first."
And now things get really interesting, because there are two main styles of this traffic cop. First, you have centralized arbitration. That's where one single controller makes all the calls. It's simple, which is great, but if that one controller fails, the whole system just shuts down. On the other hand, you have distributed arbitration, where all the devices kind of work it out amongst themselves. It's way more complex and definitely more expensive, but there's no single point of failure, which makes it super resilient.
Here's a fun way to think about it. Centralized is like a strict school principal who decides absolutely everything. Distributed, well, that's more like a chaotic group project discussion where everyone is trying to talk over each other to finally reach a decision. All right, let's tackle a classic exam problem. In a daisy chain system, which is a type of centralized arbitration, the request to use the bus gets passed down from one device to the next. So, to find the total delay, you just have to multiply the delay for each device by the total number of devices. So, if each one takes 10 nanoseconds and you've got 6 devices, the total delay is 60 nanoseconds. See? Simple as that. Okay, so we've got our traffic cop. But every highway also needs rules, right? Things like traffic lights, speed limits, you get the idea. In a computer, we call these rules bus timing. Bus timing is basically the rulebook that governs exactly when and how data can be sent across the bus. It's the traffic light system that tells every single proponent when it's safe to go and when it absolutely needs to stop. This is crucial for making sure no data crashes into each other. And just like with arbitration, there are two main ways to do this. Synchronous timing means everything, and I mean everything, moves to the beat of one single master clock. It's really fast and pretty simple. On the other hand, asynchronous timing doesn't use a clock at all. Instead, it uses a kind of handshake system. It's a bit slower, yeah, but it's way more flexible, especially when you have devices that run at different speeds. Think of it this way. Synchronous timing is like a perfectly choreographed dance performance where every single dancer moves on the exact same beat. Asynchronous timing, that's a freestyle dance-off, where every dancer just moves at their own pace. And here we have another classic exam calculation. To figure out the transfer time on a synchronous bus, first you need the time for one clock cycle. You just take the inverse of the frequency. So for a 200 megahertz clock, that's 5 nanoseconds per cycle. Then, if you know a transfer takes, say, 4 clock cycles, you just multiply them together to get a total transfer time of 20 nanoseconds.
So we've got a traffic cop and we've got rules of the road. But how do we actually know if our digital highway is any good? Well, we have to measure its performance, basically how much traffic it can handle and how fast. So what makes a bus fast? Well, a few different things come into play. First up is bus width. Just think of this as how many lanes are your highway. More lanes, more cars at once. Then you have bus speed, which is basically the speed limit. The arbitration efficiency matters too. That's how smart and fast your traffic cop is. And finally, there's bus latency, which is how long you have to sit around waiting at red lights.
Honestly, the best analogy is this. Bus performance is just like your internet speed. A really high-performance bus gives you that smooth, instant loading experience, while a low-performance bus gives you that dreaded, endless buffering wheel. We've all been there.
Now, the ultimate measure of performance is something called bandwidth. And to calculate it, it's actually pretty simple. You just multiply the bus width by the clock frequency. So, for example, a 32-bit bus running at 150 megahertz can transfer 4.8 gigabits per second. That number tells you the absolute maximum throughput of your digital highway.
So this leads to a classic trick question you might see on an exam. Is a wider bus always better? Well, not necessarily. Take a look. System A has a super wide 64-bit bus, but a slower clock speed. System B has a narrower 32-bit bus, but it runs twice as fast. And what's the result? They both have the exact same bandwidth. This really shows that it's the combination of width and speed that truly matters. Okay, let's bring it all home. We're going to wrap this up by focusing on the stuff you absolutely positively need to know for any technical exams or interviews. These are the real high-value takeaways. Here it is, your cheat sheet. First, you need to know those bus arbitration techniques, centralized versus distributed. Make sure you practice those daisy chain delay calculations we talked about. You have to master the bus bandwidth calculations, and be ready to clearly explain the difference between synchronous and asynchronous timing. And finally, whatever you do, don't get tripped up by those performance comparison questions.
And that just about covers it, so a super quick recap. Bus arbitration is the traffic cop deciding who gets access. Bus timing gives us the rules of the road, and that can be synchronous with a clock or asynchronous without one. And the overall performance? Well, that comes down to a balance of width, speed, and latency. So I'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. As our computer components get exponentially faster and our data just gets bigger and bigger, what do you think is going to be the next huge traffic control challenge we'll need to solve inside our machines? Thanks for watching.